First of all, congratulations. After everything you've been through and all the millions of miles you've been around the world for fights and all the problems you had, does it make it even more sweeter after all of that, Sam, to finally become world champion?
Like you said, millions of miles, and it's been literally millions of miles. I mean, I've travelled Europe how many times, and went there to fight for the Commonwealth title, won it, thought this is the time now to get that world title. That was 2001, did not knowing that 13 years later I'm going to get the crack. So finally I've got it, and I just have got to remind myself when I see it that we did it. It was great.
There seemed to be, looking at you from afar, this unbelievable confidence. Even though he had to go back into Germany, because I was worried. I thought, going back into Germany, anything could happen, But you just seem to have this unbelievable confidence you're going to win. Nothing mattered.
Yeah, the confidence did help. I mean, my team of TLS, George, who's my sparring partner, and Courtney Rowe of Fusion Workforce, they've got behind me in reminding me of that I've been doing what I love to do, and without them guys pushing and pushing and pushing, getting in the way. These guys have been around with me, Courtney Rowe, George from TLS, and Hutchie. They've been around with me for over 20 years, and been behind me even with the ups and the downs. So giving me them three giving me that confidence to say, keep no stone unturned, you'll get the crack, and that's exactly what it is.
I look at all the fighters out there today, and the two that really stand out are so similar. You and Bernard Hopkins. Obviously there's the age factor, your dedication to your fitness like Bernard, and obviously the way you've improved your skills over the years like Bernard too. And is that the secret? Is it just the fitness and the application to the skills?
Yeah, that is the secret, just to be able to, the fitness, the skills and all that. But the biggest secret of all that the people don't see, what happens in behind the scenes, is the sacrifices you make in not going out to the party, the nightclubs till 3, 4 in the morning, not having a drink because it's someone's birthday, so you're going to get blinded because you don't let them down. Diet, health, all the things you do outside of boxing. Boxing's the easy part. Running blood, sweat and tears, that's the easy part. The hard part is the sacrifices you make with knocking back the party and the celebrations that you like to do for someone's birthday, someone's wedding. You knock those things back, the reward will come.
We saw you sparring here today with your old friend Sakio Vika, and there is that sort of similarity there. Both world champions now out of Australia. Had 2 fights. You had the win in Melbourne, and then he had the win over in America in the Contender Series. How do you look back at your little rivalry with Sakio? Obviously close now, good friends.
It was a great rivalry because even though outside of the ring we were always mates, like on the Contender, it showed how boxing can be the best of mates, and then you get in there and we had dinner, him and his wife, me and my wife and I, and before 3 days before we fought each other, because the Contender had that organised, and it was a genuine happy-go-lucky style. He's gone through the hard yards to get what he has, and I've done the same for my career, and nothing was given to us on a silver platter. So you really find that respect for each other, and when we went in there toe-to-toe, the second time was at his weight, the first time was at my weight. It just proves to boxers, the younger generation growing up, if you can stay at your weight division and give the best that you got, you can't be beat. You make the mistakes, you're fighting out of your weight, you take fights in last minute, short notice. I've had 11 losses in 56 fights. 9 of them have been out of my weight division, and 9 of them were either out of my weight division or taking a fight in 3 days notice or 5 days notice, or flying from Europe to Melbourne in 5 days prior to a 12-round championship fight. These are the things that the youngsters of tomorrow must keep in mind.
Probably a few robberies in there too, Sam, over the years as well.
Yeah, a few robberies, but I've learned to accept that in the sport. That's the sport, and that's what it's like. And there's no system able to be made like in tennis and footy and cricket, where there's a point to point and a goal's a goal. At the end of the day, it's always going to be like that, but we do what we love doing, so we just accept that and know that one day you will get the crack if you just keep believing in yourself and you don't let them beat you. Because if you let the judges beat you in a decision that you should have won, and then you give it away because of that, they've won twice. They've won because they've robbed you of the decision, because it's pretty plain and simple that you won, but they just had other thoughts because it's their promotion. But they're also, you've retired, so you've done them a second favour. If they don't want to like you and give the decision against you, and you retire, they've beaten you twice. So we ain't going to let that happen. No fighter should let that happen. Don't let that happen, guys.
Now, a new experience for Sam. Now that you're champion, everyone wants a piece of you. And as opposed to you normally have to chase guys for fights, everybody's knocking on your door. It must be a nice, sweet experience, Sam, after everything you've been through.
Yeah, this is true. And this is true that having so many fighters now that have avoided me in the past now, the ones doing the chasing, knocking on our door. And nice to be the hunted instead of the hunter all the time, because being the hunted, you can pick and choose who I want to fight. And fortunately for my team, Dave Stanley and Dave Hitchcock, they duck no one. So I don't have to worry about them trying to find easier routes to defend my title. Because as you've seen in my 56 fights, my record shows I only fought the best, and things aren't going to change. I will still choose the best.
So you've got time now to have an optional defence before your next mandatory. I saw the other day that Felix Sturm's actually turned down the option to fight for become a mandatory. So what are the realistic options of you fighting again before Christmas?
Oh, I have no doubt that we'll get the fight before Christmas, because we've got so many options and we'll just choose one. It's about who we fight now. There's a huge grudge match between Mundine and I.
Is that a reality? Like, Anthony obviously stuck his hand up for a fourth fight. Is that something you want? Would you like to not go through your career without beating him officially?
50% of the public and the critics and that, 50% of them say, Sammy, you've lost him 3 times, so why would you fight? What's the point, you know? The other 50 know that I fought him at super middleweight all 3 fights out of my weight division, like I mentioned earlier. So fighting him at my weight, it's not only about winning the fights, how I win it. Like, I mean, guys smaller than me are knocking him out because he's fighting at their weight. So he's coming down to my weight. So you can imagine the punishment he's coming down to my weight. He just wouldn't even, if he went the distance, it'd be because I'd feel sorry for him, which is something happened because I'm not feeling sorry for him. So stopping him is not even a question. I'm telling you, if sports I would have it. I'm the favourite to stop it because of that reason, and just wait and see.
Now, unification's obviously an option. Now, Daniel Geale's fighting Triple G. That's going to be a tough fight for both guys. Triple G is going to be tested for the first time by Daniel Geale. Is that something you want? You just don't want to be a one belt champion. You want to unify the belts.
I'll tell you how much I want to unify the belts. I'm flying to New York, especially just to be able to put the challenge on and look them in the eye with the belt in my hand to show them this. You want this, which we all know they do, and I want what they've got. And the winner will be the one that, this is the All-Australian Geale Soliman fight, which we've talked about for years, to finally come to fruition as a unification bout compared to a fight. And then, of course, Golovkin, who's an undefeated fighter, for me the first to take him off. I've beaten 3 undefeated fighters. Fought 4. I've beaten 3 of them. Howard Eastman I lost to. But the 3 that I've beaten undefeated, because they're going to taste the new waters. They haven't tasted the taste of being under the pump, taken down to the deep end and drowned, and that's how I'll be strategizing beating Golovkin.
There's a lot of international commentators obviously writing Daniel Geale off. You give him much chance because he's got good skills, Daniel. And
I love that they're writing Daniel Geale off, because that's what's going to make him go stronger. You have a look at his history. For every time he has been written off, he's stopped opponents. For every time they've said he's a favourite, he's outboxed opponents. Either or, he's got a way. He's got so much muscle. He's a deceivingly strong, tough guy because he doesn't show it. He doesn't give you that persona. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to bite his ear off. He's a clean cut, neat, smart boxer, and that's why he gets. It's predicted that he'd be an underdog for the fight, and he comes through with the goods. And I'm sure that with his durability, his boxing skills, and his super fitness, if he goes to fight plan, he can beat Golovkin. If he comes off fight plan just the once, Golovkin's the type of guy that will knock anyone out. And so, in saying that, it's the Geale that walks into the ring that's going to win the fight or lose the fight.
One of the things I love about you, Sam, over so many years of seeing, is your simple joy of life. Not just boxing, but you have a wonderful joy of life. Is it possible you're even happier now?
I've been asked that a few times. No, I mean, again, I love doing what I do, and I'm never going to let no one stop that. You know, people ask me when you're going to retire. You're 41 in November, and looking at your first defence when you turn 41. How does it feel to know that you're near the end of your career? I am near the end of my career, and I know that. And I know that if I take any more shots, I win a close fight, lose a close fight, I'll know that my next fight will be my last fight, because I want to be spending time with my little boy and my wife Maria, and we can do what we do and enjoy the glories of the hard work we put in for 23 years. And fortunate, I love my Aussie rules football, and I work with the guys of my two teams, Richmond and Collingwood. I get to work with them. It's a lifelong dream for me, and I'm going to be playing against them in the AFL Legends game. They've given me an opportunity to play with the players that I grew up watching, and for them it's an opportunity to work with a world champion in their field of footy. So they might end up touching me up a little in that game, so I might have to be on my game for that one.
Thanks for your time, Sam. Congratulations. It would be hard to think of us being more prouder of an Australian to win a world title, because certainly you've deserved that after so many years.
And a quick thank you to Paul Upham for travelling the world with me and coming to Connecticut when I had one of the hardest fights of my career.
And we went to Japan too?
Japan together.
Remember that? Now, how many years ago was that?
That was fun.